Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we're heading into that spring selling season, so how do home sellers prepare to present their homes, and what should they do when they're expecting a showing?
Well, Richard, putting a home on the market is another pretty big project, and you want to make a really great first impression when they come to look at the home. There's so many reasons why a buyer might reject a home, but many times they're rejecting the home before they get there if it's not presented properly. You want to be the best home at the best price, and that's the way you get the most money. And I think buyers now, they're very well versed on what's available on the market. They probably know more than real estate agents when they see a good buy. So they want to make sure that the home is presented to create the best demand for the home, and that's the way they can get the best offer. So in general, when somebody wants to view your home, you want to make sure, first of all, that it's presented right online. Zillow has a new quote that they're talking about now, which makes total sense to me, which is screen appeal is the new curb appeal. Now, it could be the phone screen, computer screen, whatever. Most people are searching on their phones nowadays. If they don't like what they see, they are not going to show up. It's just that simple. Online is your first showing, and that has to be correct. So what do you take out when you show a house? Now, if it's vacant, it's a different story. But if you're living in the home, you want to make sure that the buyers are not distracted with your stuff and your lifestyle. They are there to visualize themselves living in that home. So the first thing you want to take out is you. You should leave for showings. That's what most people suggest. Now, some people can't, and I understand that, and that's fine. But if you can, you should leave. Number two, pets. Lizards. I've seen lizards. I've seen snakes. I had one client that actually had an aquarium in the basement full of scorpions. That really grossed me out. Now, they don't live in this climate. Fortunately, they moved out first before they sold, because that was going to be difficult to deal with. But at the end of the day, they're not pleasant. They don't look good. They don't smell good. If you could find a way to rehome them for a while, at least while you're showing, probably a good idea. Same with cats and dogs and other critters. Kids. Now, actually, we're not allowed to go into a house and show it with the kids there. So unless the parents are there with them. So that's a definite must-have. Any excess unused cars need to go. Richard, does your household have a pile of remotes on the family room counter?
Not on the counter, but if you go in the living room, there is a remote drawer that I think has every remote from every device we've owned in the past 30 years, but not sitting on the counter.
Just last night, I picked up one and went, oh, this isn't the right one. You know, there's multiples. I don't even know what they're for, but they don't look pretty when you're showing. Another thing that you really must take out or must be very careful and lock up are prescription meds. I hate to say this, but there are some people that go into houses and start rifling through your stuff to get just that kind of stuff. And a lot of times, even though they might be escorted by an agent, the agent's not paying attention. They get distracted by the spouse, and the other one's over there rifling through the medicine cabinet trying to get some drugs. So be very careful about those things. Any mouse or ant traps, pick those up, please, for showing. Pet bowls also don't look good. Of course, valuables. So I have a story about that. I took over a listing from somebody that had the house listed, and really pretty home up in Florissant. It wasn't very expensive, but it had great views, very well maintained. And they had purchased the home when I had it listed years before. Then they decided to sell again. They listed with another agent and they weren't happy with her, so they hired me. So that's how I know the story. But part of the story with the former agent was that some agent came along and was showing her buyer, and this other couples showed up, kind of tagging along, saying, hey, can I follow along? Can I look at the house while you have it open? And that agent let them in. That should never happen because she didn't know who they were. So, of course, she's upstairs with her buyer. The buyers are downstairs and they rifled through the drawers, the dresser drawer, and stole an Apple Watch. And this was somebody that was very careful and had created a go bag for showing, but she forgot about the Apple Watch. And so she noticed when she got home that her bedspread didn't look the same. She looked in there and, oh, there it was. So another thing that you can do to kind of protect yourself, because this happens all the time. I hear a lot of frustration from home sellers about it, that agents will show up late, they'll show up early, they'll schedule a showing and no show. And they're not thoughtful enough to let the seller know that they're not going to be there. So imagine you've got kids and dogs and pets and cats and whatever you're taking out for the showing, you leave and they don't show up and they don't cancel. That would make me mad, I would tell you that. But there's ways around it. You can wait until they get there before you leave, especially if it's a big inconvenience for you. That's fine. Also, have some cameras, have some Wi-Fi. It's really not that expensive. I've had some sellers that would just go down the street and they'd be sitting there waiting for the car to show up, and they'd watch and they'd see how long they were there. I had one tell me when they sold their house in another state that the buyers were in the house for 4 hours. Now that's outrageous. It doesn't take 4 hours to even walk through a big house, maybe an hour at the most. So you just want to kind of plan for that, and don't be surprised if they misbehave. And there's nothing wrong if they're staying too long for you to come home and say, I'm sorry, I need my house back, right? And it's okay also to restrict showing times. There are some agents out there that'll say, oh, make your home available all the time. No, I don't agree with that. You can restrict showings based on what works for you. There's nothing wrong with that. And the way our online system works now, which is owned by Zillow, of course, is that you could block out showings so they cannot schedule during those hours. And technically the agents you could put restrictions to limit only. I have a lot of sellers saying, I only want qualified buyers. Well, here's the thing. Some buyers are looking before they've actually verified with the lender they qualify, but they kind of know, they know their finances, right? So it might be an unnecessary restriction on them. Also, the agents in this state are not required to verify the buyer has the ability to buy. That's why I call them Pop-Tart agents. I had that one story a couple of years ago, very, very expensive home, where I think it was the listing agent that got a call that they wanted to see this expensive home. And of course, in her mind, she'd already spent the commission. She met him at the door, didn't know anything about these people. And this home had a safe room. Now, you don't have to show every room in the house. You can wait until you have a contract, or wait and otherwise before you show certain private rooms in a house if you want to. And in this case, the seller was home. The agent was walking through with this alleged buyer. He gave them their real name. And it turned out that after he kept asking, I want to be in the safe room. I want to see the safe room. And the seller wouldn't let him in. After he left, he looked up his name, and this guy had just got let out of prison. So that's what I'm saying. The agents don't have any obligation to do it. People are naturally lazy. Some agents are naturally lazy. They don't check. And in their mind, oh my God, I'm going to make all this commission. I meet them at the house and maybe they'll buy it. That's how they work. So technically, according to the new rules, the agents are supposed to have a written agreement with the buyer, but the agreement's only supposed to talk about how they get paid if they buy the house. And there's no agreement police. Nobody's checking. There's no oversight on this. So I am sure, based on what I'm seeing in my open houses, some of these agents that show up to meet their buyer, they've never met them before. They met them online somehow, or they somehow connected with them online. And the first time they're actually putting eyes on the buyer is at the house. They don't even know if they can buy a couch on Craigslist. So you can put restrictions on there about it, You can actually ask the agent to have them deliver a pre-qualification letter or proof of funds before they show if you want. And then what about somebody that has a sale contingency? Okay, so if somebody has a house to sell, that's good. It's good that they like their home, that they love. If somebody has a house to sell, it's good that someone likes your home and has interest in buying your home. And some people will find a way to make it happen. At the end of the day, the only good buyer that has a house to sell is one that currently has a contract. So that means they've already obligated to sell their house and they're going through the process. It's not ideal, but it's acceptable. You can work with it. But a lot of the offers I'm getting, they haven't even put their house on the market. And they're saying, oh, will you reserve this house for me? We have solutions for them. We have cash offers. We have trade-up programs. So if you do run into that problem, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about the things that you should do before you show your house. And next up, we're going to continue the rest of those things. Richard?
Barb, people can get in touch with you simply by going to 719-301-3900 or, of course, barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some other things that home sellers should be doing before they even allow their home to be shown?
Well, before you actually present it to the market, I would absolutely take care of some of these things, which is part of getting ready for sale. Replace soiled carpet, neutralize any dramatic colors, even pillows. Bright red or orange pillows just stand out online, and you want it soft and neutral. Remove heavy furniture. Almost everybody has a dining room set that has 8 chairs and you only use maybe 4, maybe 6, but the other 2 chairs are sitting there. Pack those away, put them in the garage. Make sure everything in the bathroom is cleared off. Nobody wants to look at a plunger. Nobody wants to look at all your toiletries and toothbrushes and all that makeup and stuff sitting on the counter. Put that away. And same with cars and things like that. Some other things you want to be very careful of, and I see this all the time, is that agents will put those wick air fresheners in the outlets. And in an empty home, those are overwhelming. My sister-in-law is actually allergic to those things. So I used to have to do the bloodhound nose recon when I was showing her houses when she bought a house here before she went in, because those things would make her sick. Make sure you fix broken stuff. Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, they're looking for those to be less than 10 years old. Make sure you secure your valuables and any personal paperwork items, just don't have those out. And be aware of what the market is doing, especially with homes like yours, because that will give you a benchmark of how it's going, how long it's going to take, and whether or not they're getting a contract. And, buyers won't really come out and take a look at homes that aren't marketed correctly. It's kind of like online dating. You have to make sure you get that right first. So buyers need to visualize themselves in the home, which means that basically what you're going to do is kind of depersonalize it as much as possible. And not every buyer is going to love your home. That's okay. It only takes one. So if you do get an offer and the offer is not what you want, don't kill the messenger. Work with them. The worst thing you can do is reject them or repel them, because that might be enough where they won't come back, even though that house is suitable for them. And to me, that's a classic sales prevention business when that happens. So if you are thinking of making a move, we'd love to help you. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're listening to the Real Estate Voice and want to get in touch with Barb Schlinker, that number is 719-301-3900. Or as always, you can visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing a checklist to get your home ready to sell, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss that.